what? It's party time in the Philippines right now.
Right on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Gold medal.
In case you missed it, the Philippines won their first gold medal in 94
97 years.
97 years.
Last time was 1924 games.
Right. And it was won by a woman weightlifter.
Yes.
Whose coach is from Guam.
Yes. That's all
amazing.
kinds of awesome. Yep. So basically, like I said, long story short, Guam also won a gold medal.
Yeah.
Right.
738. Let's bring in
Senator Moylan looks like he could do some weightlifting, right? At the Olympic level.
Those were the days. The Army days.
Right now, the only lifting we're trying to do is this rise.
All right.
All right. So, wow, this has just turned into the biggest head-scratching issue. Did you see this coming, Senator, when, back when you guys got this passed in the legislature and it became law? Did you anticipate that we would be talking about it, 8 months after it passed, and it would become the controversial issue that it has become today?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. When we saw how the law was originally passed by letting it lapse into law, and then no action thereafter, and with the folks, helpful folks like you guys here asking about it consistently, and we pushed as well with the pandemic coming on out and saying we could really use this money. And initially, the people really needed the money then as well when it was the RISE Act to start with, but nothing ever happened. So we knew it was bad from the start, and that's why we just didn't let up until today, 8 months, 9 months later. Here we are still disputing when this payment is going to come out and how it's going to be administered. So it's unfortunate, but at least I'm happy to say our acting governor, Josh Tenorio, did take some action, and was with just a memo, just a memo. That's all it took from Governor Tenorio here to our DRT director, Daphne, explaining that we can put this mayor's verification off for a little while, and let's continue on with this process. So at least one thing was done to help expedite this. Though we've been asking and offering suggestions and solutions, nothing's been done other than we can say almost like the senators don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're talking about. What we're offering help. And this is the first phase. At least the governor took it and said, okay, stop with the mayor's verification, and then let's move forward. So one step at a time with this administration.
At what point, though, Senator, because there was allowed to lapse in the law in December, so January, February, March, April. At what point did you kind of say, no, wait a minute. 1 month, I understand, they're trying to figure it out. 2 months, okay. 3 months, hold on a second.
Yeah, I think we've been writing since March, and then now to this time, pushing our bill 75 to get to session floor, which increases the RISE Act from 800 to 1,000 for individuals, from 1,600 to 2,000 for families. And when we finally pushed for this bill to get a hearing with the assistance of the Speaker, Therese Jalahi, we also included amendments that were needed since the governor has decided to finally take action on this public law and make it happen. The amendments included some reporting periods to the original RISE Act to find out how much is going to be paid out and how many families have been helped or individuals have been helped, and to removing the cap that the governor has said. It seems it seems the governor does what she wants when it's convenient for her. She's saying there's a cap, and we're saying we can remove the cap. she's saying, oh, we need marriage verification. He said, well, we remove the marriage verification. If you don't want to do it, we can do it. When she finally did that, it was just with a memo. You could do the same thing when you're saying there's a cap. There's none. You can, with an executive order or just write a memo to your director of DOA or the treasurer and say there's no cap. Just like the governor did by increasing those who are eligible for the RISE Act. It originally started as private enterprise. Those individuals making less than 40,000 or couples making less than 80. And then with a stroke of the pen, the governor increased that eligibility to the government employees and the retirees and the federal employees. So if you're telling the senators, you don't need these. In our recent discoveries or her recent push or our push is that we got two bills coming up for public hearing. One starts tomorrow, the 7536, and then the 160, the speaker's bill, which I'm also co-sponsor on, as well as Senator Joe St. Augustine. Now you're telling us, Governor, butt out, and that you can take care of this. It's an executive function. But before, you're saying, oh, we had to follow the rules of the legislature. So which is it?
It's confusing. It's both. It doesn't make any sense, Senator. It's not just you, and it's not, just the Republicans. Even Democrats feel the same way. She said that she couldn't amend the law via executive order, but that's exactly what she did when she added the GovGuam retirees, workers, and the federal employees. I've got a different take on it. Like, I agree, because when we asked her about it, she said, oh, well, if the private sector workers were adversely affected by the pandemic, then you can reasonably assume so were those other three classes of people that she added to the RISE Act. Even though the government employees were still getting paid, I'm pretty sure they had to buy whatever for the pandemic as well. So I get it, but I just feel like if you're going to bring those new classes of people and make them eligible, then you also need to bring the money. Because now what we have is this first come, first serve. Mm-hmm. It's going to be madness. And the whole intent of the bill, I think, is out the window if the very people it was designed to help are just, it's now they're going to be, I don't know, Senator, but yeah, it's mind-blowing that what's passing for logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what really is the, issue? What really is the motivation behind all of this?
Well,
it's just so, like you said, it's just so confusing. Is it just
right.
that you don't want to pay it, or making it?
We know the governor has no plan, other than I guess the whisper she gives to her directors at her department, saying, we'll probably work this out, and when you get to your budget hearings, just tell them, there's no plan, but you'll probably get some funding, but there's no really plan yet, so we can't say anything definite. Mm-hmm. Because they're still trying to figure out where they got their priorities. I want to just say that. Adelup has their priorities. They know where they want to spend the money. They're not going to tell us, and they're probably battling right now to ensure that one of their priorities is the hospital. But that's going to be an uphill battle. I agree we need a hospital. So they want to hold on to $300 million until such time they can definitely get a response. Probably they're still waiting for that okay to get that hospital going, and that's probably why they're wondering, if I don't get this, I got to use the money someplace else. They don't know. Yeah, but what they do know is they don't want to give it to the people. Otherwise, they would have said directly or right away. They want to hold the money for their own priorities, and I don't believe the people are one of them. The governor boasted about giving out $2 billion, from the CARES money. That's not the money that was given to our government for your local purposes. That's pool money, that's other business money, that's all federal money that came in specifically for those purposes, the $2 billion. GDOL did their job by distributing that money. GITA did their job by distributing that money as well. DRT did their job by distributing their money too. we only did our job by putting out that $2 billion that was already set by the federal government on this is how it would go. The stimulus checks that DRT worked so hard to get out, that was their job to do. So now you have this almost 600 million pot, and you're going to tell us, oh, we gave you enough, so therefore it's not going to go to the people, it's going to go to our priorities, these government agencies and so forth. I don't, you know, that's wrong.
That's what she said at the big when we first started asking about the rise.
people.
Yeah. She said, "Oh, they already got a stimulus." Senator, let me ask you this, because I mean, it's worse than pulling teeth, right? Trying to get this Rise Act paid, but here you guys come now. You're having these hearings. You want to introduce these bills. You want to streamline the process. You want to raise the Rise Act amounts. Don't you think that when the governor sees that, it's going to throw ice water in the whole process, and you're only going to empower her to say, "Oh, well, I was going to pay it," because I can just totally see this coming from Adelup. Oh, we were just about to pay it, but now these senators, they want to change the amounts. They need to make up their mind. And then she's going to blame you guys like, "Oh, now I can't pay it because it's all up in the air because I got these bills, and we'll just have to wait and see."
Yeah. The governor has put the pressure back on the legislature, saying it's our fault. We're going to go to the table and we're going to work this out, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to remove the cap. We're going to our amendment also says there's no deadline as well until and then we're going to pay out this money, or we're going to tell her to pay out the money. Obviously, we can't say, if you don't do this, Governor, you'll be fined. You know, we can't. There's nothing we can do. But we're a co-equal branch of government, and we represent the people of Guam. So, you know, we're just not going to sit back here and let the governor dictate to the senators what we're supposed to do. No, you're not. And we're going to push this forward. Wednesday is our public hearing for 75, and the next day is the public hearing for the speakers. Who's going to be there from the government? Thanks for letting us know that the DOA is off island, and BBMR is off island too. I guess, you know, they really make it obvious it's not that important to them. And that's just too bad. But we can move on. We can move on without them. At the end of the day, just like what we're doing, what's going to happen in August, we're going to balance the budget the way the numbers we see. And if the governor doesn't like it, well, we got 10 to override her. Just like in this RISE stuff, we can do that. We can do the same thing then. But I think it's really not helping the administration by the attitude that they take on the people of Guam, saying first come, first serve. It never should have said that. That there's a cap on this money, never should have said that either. When you're telling us at the same time you have complete authority on how you're going to spend this federal funds, now you're telling us, oh, there's a cap, or we believe that there's enough money to make this happen. It's ridiculous, and it's just disappointing when we have all this money that can really help our island start once again, that this is how we're starting. Congressman Mike Nicholas kind of said it too. Don't mess this up, man. Yeah. This is the opportune time.
I mean, look at the bright side, Senator. We can't mess it up if we're not spending the money.
Right. You know, and I'm hoping, and maybe we need to follow our neighbor islands in Saipan there. You know, read that article online where they're looking at 28,000 local stimulus checks worth $25 million. That they're saying they're going to release before August 15th for every taxpayer, dependent, including adult child, a $500 check. CNMI, population of, is it 100,000? I'm not sure, but has already dedicated how much money they want to give to their people. And we're doing what? You know, arguing about, you know, there's a cap, who's eligible, when it's supposed to start, get a mayor's certification. Oh my goodness.
You kind of touched on it, that BBMR, Lester Carlson's not here. We reported on it last night. Edward Byrne, DOA, is over in D.C. with the governor. But you know what? They can still participate via Zoom. So has anyone sent over the invite?
Yeah, well, the committee chairs will be able to do that, and the announcements are out, and I'm sure it will come from Adelup letting their directors know what public hearings are there. Definitely, we would want them there for the questions that are the senators will need answered, and put them on the hot seat, for crying out loud. You know, man up. You know, let's face it. Just or governor, just say, hey, I don't want to pay it. You know, just say that I got other priorities. Giving money and additional stimulus to people, I'm not going to do it. Just say it. You know, instead of going around in circles and circles, it's the legislature. You know, there's enough money. More people need to be added. Just say it. I really don't believe you want to pay this funds, and if you do, prove me wrong. But to continue on this we're wasting time, and there's other priorities we should be looking at. But until you can tell us what your plan is, then I got to continue to fight this. And I got better things to do with legislations that I like to get going here and focus on that and the
Senator,
resources at the Congress at our Congress or at our the legislature building too.
We had asked the governor to come on this show, and however, we didn't get a response from Crystal Paco San Augustine. But I know she was on another media yesterday, and I just wanted to read this quote that really gave me a headache trying to figure out this thing. And she's talking about the $30 million cap allotted for the RISE program. She is quoted in another media as saying, "It's a grant. It's an amount that we have looked through, and we're sticking by that $30 million because I know that when Senator Regine Bisco-Lee did that, she worked, I think, with our fiscal people to give more confidence that the $30 million would be sufficient," the governor said from Washington, D.C. And remember that the limit here is the 40,000 income level for individuals and the 80,000 is joint income filers. So not everybody is going to be eligible for this. We are the authority, and we have the administrative capability to implement our program in any way that we want, and we're implementing it in a very efficient and streamlined process. Okay.
Yeah.
Did we get that Senator Regine clip or what?
I sent it to you.
Is that you have that
clip.
still, Joe? Because this is just, I don't know, how does the media let the governor say that without asking the obvious question, which is, well, when Senator Regine Bisco-Lee worked with your administration about $30 million for the RISE Act, it was specifically to cover payments to private sector workers. Senator Regine Bisco-Lee said on the session floor, "Gov Guam, check your privilege."
Boom.
Oh, she hasn't said anything since then. Oh, where's it?
It's on my phone.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, so we'll probably play that tomorrow. Trust me, this RISE thing is going to go on for a while. Bree, it's not going to be over today. We'll get it tomorrow.
We're not going to stop talking about it until this thing is
I don't know her
paid.
comments. It just doesn't make any sense to me because Senator Regine wanted $30 million to cover the private sector workers, not to cover the private sector workers and the Gov Guam retirees and the Gov Guam employees and the federal employees and everyone else, whoever Auntie Lou wants to give the money to. So I don't understand, she says these things that A, aren't accurate, B, don't make any sense, and no one asks her, hey, whoa, what's that? I think that's why she doesn't want to come on here, because we will ask. And not to pick on her or anything, because that's what you do. An elected official, you come on here, we'll ask you, we'll ask anybody who comes on. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that means if you're sensitive that they won't come on, so it is what it is.
That's not governing, that's not taking a leadership position. And that's just those comments cause chaos. And it's unfortunate that this is the leadership that we have now in Adelup. I do hope the governor got some great advisors around here that could, maybe some script writers too. If you're going to talk off the cuff, make sure you do it properly. To say those kind of things,
we are getting
the attitude come right all over it. You can hear the attitude, and I don't think that's what the people. Well, I don't want that kind of attitude, and I sure don't want to give that impression. But if you're in the leadership position and that's what you want to do, it's almost like talking down to the people, And when you're talking down to the senators like that, that's what you're doing. You're talking down to the people, and that's uncalled for. All we want to do is to get the money into the hands of the people. the pool is ending in 40 some days. Back to school is happening once again. There's still people in need. There's going to be over 16 or 19,000 folks jobless, hoping to get retrained. And we're arguing about giving them some money to help them out. And you've heard on your programs all the different folks coming with their stories, true life, real stories. And this is what's happening to me and my family. Can you assist? Yeah. And then the governor's office comes back with this reply. Disappointing. It shouldn't be. So as our duty, and I'm glad we got this going for a public hearing tomorrow, and I'm hoping we get as many people as possible. And if the directors need to zoom in, well, then wake up from your East Coast time and zoom in, and then let's discuss this and let's finish this and pay out the people of Guam, those that you increase the eligibility to, pay them out as well, but get it going. This delay of saying we don't have the final report, that's just a delayed tactic. These reports they're talking about, my understanding of this is the reporting requirement reports, not who you're going to pay out.
Senator, I'm sorry, I got to bump in here. We're going to go to jump over to KUAM TV, and we're going to take you with us. So stand by. It is 8 o'clock right here on the link, which is brought to you by Pacific Points, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. KUAM TV, here we come. Good morning, Guam. It's 8 o'clock. Good morning, KUAM TV. My name's Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
Good morning, everybody.
That's my friend Jason Solis, Joe Sir on the ones and twos here. It is the link. Good morning, KUAM TV. Coming up, we have an in-depth look at news. We've also got Kevin Bautista from the CNMI Governor's Office, where they spend their American Rescue Plan funds. We'll talk about that with him.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up because these two issues are kind of tied in with the All Rise and the ARP plan. The Democratic Party of Guam, they issued a press release in response to the Republican Party of Guam press release on the lack of a spending plan. And I wanted to see if Senator Moylan had a response. Just to read a portion of it, the GOP's recent statements regarding the future expenditure of federal ARP funding are reckless, wrong, and inaccurate. Federal guidelines on how this money can be spent are not yet final, and spending that money without these final rules could result in taxpayers owing millions because the GOP wanted to spend money before the rules were final.
What is that part about, the Carlo Branch part about? It says more about their leadership than ours.
The GOP knows each of these facts, but as they prepare for a gubernatorial election, they obviously care more about laying blame than solving problems. That says way more about their leadership than it does about ours.
Ooh, Cutlow. In your face. I don't know, that Democratic release, and I'm a Democrat, it's so out of touch with reality. They're spending the money up in the CNMI, and the people of Guam are not stupid. I think these Democrats, they need to get out more and talk to people. They really do. I was over at Compadres Mall yesterday getting some pants hemmed, and the lady said, "Sir Chris, what about the..." And I stopped her because I already knew she was going to ask me about the rise. I said, "Ma'am, there's no application yet." She says, "Ay, nako, talk to your governor." I said, "No, that's your governor." She said, "No, that's your Nina." So people know about this. They're not idiots. And so this Democratic Party release, and I get it, they just want to fight fire with fire, and it's really not productive. But they get a kick out of it. They want to be like, "Yeah, well, I think it came from you." That's what that release was to me. That's what it was. And I mean, after we verified that that was a real release from the Republican Party, it kind of made sense, right? People are actually calling for transparency. They're calling for the payment of the RISE Act.
Right, and Chris, that payment of the RISE Act, It's just basically it's a duplication of what we paid out with the stimulus check under the CARES check under Trump administration, and then a duplication of what the Biden administration through the ARPA is paying out to. You can't tell me you're waiting for further instructions if we can pay out our own local stimulus. You know, it's a delayed tactic. Knock it off, right? Pay our own local stimulus. The Democrat Party can't tell us that, oh, we're concerned that if we do pay out our local stimulus, that it may not qualify. We're following the same the stimulus checks that were provided from the federal government. It qualifies. It's for the people that are affected through the COVID, who lost their jobs, who are trying to pay their rent, who are trying to pay their utilities, who are trying to pay their credit cards or their mortgages. And they're arguing that we're waiting for the final explanation. No, you know, they seem to want to defend themselves on their actions on how to pay out funding for when they put the hotels, folks up in the hotels there. And OPA says, you know, that was done incorrectly. But they argue their point that they said, no, it was done properly, and we stand by what we did. But now today, they're saying, no, we're going to delay this process of paying out the people of Guam as long as possible. But yet they'll argue, it's like, oh, I don't care what OPA said, we never spent the money wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong to do that. Just say, then add a loop, just say you don't want to pay it out and tell us why, ABC. But that's not happening. So we're just going to continue to fight, and I hope we get a good turnout for tomorrow's public hearing. It starts at 9 o'clock for 75, increasing the rise payment and doing some more checks and balances on that as well, removing the cap especially. And then the following day, we have another bill addressing the RISE Act as well to get this done. We're not going to stop until we get a final answer. And that final answer seems to be changing every time. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's headlines.
I'm hoping that people participate and provide comments during these public hearings. Again, they're 9 o'clock in the morning. But we were talking about Senator Regine Biscoe-Lee and her closing statements on session floor with regard to the initial RISE Act. And so let's go ahead and throw to it. And this is what she said in December of 2020.
And I ask our colleagues to heed the criticism that we felt in April from our struggling families, that we waited too long before planning, giving them much needed assistance. And this is our chance to do just that before 2021 comes. This assistance can help families buy groceries while their SNAP or welfare applications may be processed, or to save for balloon payments, for rent, for utilities, for loans. Madam Speaker, this bill will begin the process to help up to 30,000 families with an assistance check. And we were able to develop this model by standing by a decision to make GovGuam employees and federal government workers ineligible for this aid. And I understand the criticism that this isn't fair, but it also has not been fair that while our brothers and sisters in the private sector have been laid off, furloughed, and left to navigate a never-before-done unemployment program, we in the government of Guam and in the federal civil service have been sitting pretty. We've been getting, many of us, at least 100% of our pay this entire year. And as I said earlier, Madam Speaker, I think we who are in public service should really check our privilege and sit this one out.
which, that bill was introduced, Senator Biscoli's bill was introduced months in advance, and it finally got a hearing towards the end of the year. Originally, that bill should have been heard much sooner, but didn't. But finally, at the end of the year, it did. And it's like it sat for how many months? Plus, now it's still sitting, even though it lapsed into law. And now we have the All Rise Act. And if you consider the amount that the governor is saying that it was discussed with her administration at the time of the 35th Guam legislature, just that group of individuals who were eligible, that's already close to $30 million.
Yeah.
And she's still using that amount to justify we figured that's enough because we've calculated that before. How can that be? That's just, it's not the truth. And we should relook at this, and we can really just say no cap to this, and that will resolve the problem. Since we have close to $600 million waiting there for us to use, there's other places that have already started to use these funds as well. Like in Oklahoma, there's the Cherokee National Nation that is giving $2,000 to their citizens, and they're estimating almost 400,000 people will be eligible for this. And they quoted, "We will not waste any time in helping our Cherokee families." It's close to 400,000 people, and here we are in Guam with we're only affecting so many folks. We could easily get this out as soon as possible, and I don't think the federal government will say you made a mistake by duplicating what we did by providing your own stimulus packet to the people most needy. So come on, Governor, get back to work, or dedicate the Lieutenant Governor acting to do the job, and we'll support him.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the news now. After the break, we'll take a break, and we're coming back with Sabrina Salas Matanani on the link. Good morning.
Mount Carmel